Alright, so for this video, you guys can see me starting to put together this sterling silver bracelet. This is comprised of two different styles of links. We've got some bigger jump rings, and we've got some smaller C-type jump rings, is what I call them. So right now what I'm doing is I'm measuring the size of the gap I have to fill. I mean, I keep my seams extremely tight when I'm about to solder them, as everyone should. So now I'm just going to go ahead and clip myself a piece of hard solder there. Now I'm going to take the pliers and just take that piece off nice and clean so I don't lose it. Now I'm going to go ahead here with my flux, and of course this bracelet has been cleaned in acid prior to this, but I'm just going to go ahead and add just a touch of flux on that seam, making sure that when I do solder it with the hard solder I can get a proper flow through the joint and an extremely strong joint. Now again, just placing that little piece of hard solder on the joint. Here's where I realized that my torch is actually empty. So then we just have to top it up with our butane can here. Just a quick intermission. And back in business. You guys see me shake my head a little bit just because of the time I lost, which gives time for the flux to harden up, which I don't want it in that state. I'd rather it a little gooey. That way I can pull it which way I need to pull it in order to have a nice solid joint. But nonetheless, we're going to still go ahead and execute on this joint. Just a nice little light flame. We're not dealing with too thick of a jump ring here. So again, we're gonna warm it up, and right now we're just guiding the piece of solder in the direction we want it to go with the heat. That's why you see me move the torch in different areas, but you can see now I'm holding it steady, and now I'm pulling the solder through the joint to ensure a nice strong seam. So after that's done, we're just going to pop it out of our third hand here, and we're going to pop it right back into the acid, take off that oxidization, and clean up the piece. So now we just pulled the bracelet back out, we dried it off, and we're just checking that seam to make sure it's 100%, even though I know it's 100%. A lot of the times I check on specific links because I need to see if I need to beef up the filler metal content in order to bring it back to, I guess you could say, an OEM look, meaning contour is correct. Appearance is very important, obviously, and we want to make sure that we have enough convex to work with and that we're not too sunken in. That would be concave, and that way if we need to shave anything down, if we need to do polishing, if we need to remove material, we have it to do so if needed. To me, there's nothing worse than seeing a piece of jewelry someone spent a lot of money on, and you look at it and you say, well, the jeweler could have just done a little bit better. You know, he could have made that seam just a little bit nicer. And basically that's all I'm saying. If you're gonna put in the work, you might as well have the appearance correct at the end. And a lot of times with thick joints, you use hard solder, you get a secure joint nice and strong, but you may need to also beef it up a little bit with maybe some easy solder to bring back a little bit of the appearance on the link. And again, guys, majority of the time you do just get away with one nice pass of hard solder and you're done, as long as you do it correctly. But a lot of the times a piece will come to you with such a deep snip in it, in the link, that you do have to input some material back. And that's just to, of course, relinquish the integrity of the link itself. Now, of course, a lot of the times, if I'm trying to be quick, I will just use the acid to clean the piece and not hit it with an emery paper, because that's basically what I'm doing in this video. But you guys, you can take as much precaution as you want to the cleanliness of your work. And again, we're just setting up for the next link now. I think you guys kind of get the idea at this point. Now I'm just cracking myself a nice piece of solder. I think I just dropped it. So we'll go ahead and cut a second piece. Pieces of solder are so tiny, it's extremely easy to lose them. That's why you see me slice the piece with one set of pliers, cutters, and then with another set I break it off that way. That way I'm able to retrieve it without it flying across the room, basically. So here we go again, hit it with some flux, get that joint nice and ready to flow. I call it flow solder. And remember guys, it's extremely important you just line the joint with a nice light layer of flux, so that way you don't get too much of a bubble underneath your solder piece and you lose direction of your pull. And again guys, we're all human. I lose direction of a lot of the times I add a little bit too much flux and I lose that direction of the pull. But we just go at it again, that's all. I'm just telling you that guys, so that you can avoid it ahead of time. So again, heating the piece in unison, and we're just directing that solder, and now we're coming to a nice stable flame here, and now we're just going to pull it right through the bottom into a nice consistent flow. And again, now we take it out of our third hand with our copper pliers and dunk it into the acid. Now my acid bath does have some contaminants in it, so I am expecting some tarnish on the silver, which is not a big deal. I can pull it off with polishing later. And again, just eyeballing our seam size and cutting the correct size to match, breaking it off with our pliers nice and clean, and we're ready to go again. And again, we cut our piece of solder before we flux it, because the flux dries up extremely quickly, and we want to make sure that we can get it seated nicely on that seam. So solder cut before flux painted. That's it. And again, we're just about there, and here we go, pulling it through. Nice and clean, just like that. And you can see I give you the okay there. Now we're just taking a look after the acid bath, going over our work. Some of you guys may know I come from a welding background. I was in the trades. Used to do a lot of welding. I used to specifically specialize in all types of stainless steel welding, colorful welding, exhaust systems, stuff like that. But I would say, like welding, it is all about technique and precision. Heat is a very powerful tool, and when you know how to use it correctly, you can make it do a lot of different things. I mean, think about, I remember I used heat a lot of the time to take off car parts, to expand the metal and move the molecules around. That way I can extract the part as needed. Now the joint I was just playing with there is one of the joints with a deep slice in it that also needs some form of rebuilding to bring back the integrity of the link. So for the remaining length of this video, you're gonna see me hit that link with a hard solder, but what I end up doing is this link actually has to be beefed up. So I hit it with a strength first, and then I rebuild it with the easy after. Unfortunately, in this video, you won't see me hit the same link a second time with another type of solder, but I'm just telling you right now that that's what I did in order to bring back the integrity of this link. Now, when I personally build bracelets, I basically build them one way. Some of them I'll adjust for you, some of them I won't. I like to make one-of-ones. I believe if it fits you right off the bat, it was meant for you. And if it doesn't, then it wasn't. But again, there's exceptions for some, where I'd be willing to add links for a proper fit. But in the future, if you see my bracelets available for sale, that's the way I would like to move. I also like the idea of uniqueness, and I like people to have their own designated piece, one that's not cookie cutter, you know, not an order to fill type of thing. It's more a one and done, and it was made specifically for you, and there's no replicas of that exact piece of jewelry. At least it was done by my two hands anyway. So anyway, guys, you won't see this joint that I'm prepping right here because the video is gonna end, but this is just a new extension of content on the channel, and if you guys have any comments, leave them below. I always read them. If you'd like to subscribe or like the video, please do so, and we will see you in the next video. SFM Collective. Thanks for watching, guys.